automotive.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mainly sunny skies with a light breeze. Afternoon high around 24. Tonight we'll see increasing cloud cover, with a low around 14. And tomorrow we'll see a slight chance of snow showers in the afternoon. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy, with a high near 38. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker from 93.7 The Ticket, and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NIPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
That it is. Welcome in a Wednesday show on tap for you. I am Austin Orman, joined as always by the Husker Hall of Famer, the 9-year NBA vet, my partner, Strick. It's cold, Stricky. Be a hot show today, though.
It's definitely chilly outside. It's not enough for you to get a snowflake or snow angel going like you were supposed to last year, but they didn't come by. They were supposed to come by and petition you to get out there to do it, but sooner or later it's going to happen. The difference between what happens in Nebraska, one, shout out to the heavens. Let me say that it missed us. Now you guys got something, because I was able to, as soon as I left the game last week, it was a little bit of ice and a little bit of sleet was starting to come down here in Lincoln. Mm-hmm. I get back to Nebraska. Nebraska. Wow. Get back to Omaha.
Crib.
And nothing. It passes. It misses. Dang. So I was excited about that. So shout out to the heavens for that. But the thing about Nebraska is, even there are days when the weather, the temperature is down in this 15 to 20 range, but the wind's not blowing. So it actually doesn't feel as bad. But when that hawk starts whipping and that wind and that you catch those jet streams and those North Arctic blasts, or either the south, it doesn't matter where it comes from, but wherever it's coming from, it's the wind, I think, that really does it to me here in Nebraska. It's not necessarily the cold can deal with it. It's a drier, it's not that, when the wind's not blowing, it's not bad. You can walk outside, and it was, I think, 20, 30 degrees, and the wind wasn't blowing a little bit earlier, a couple days ago, and it wasn't bad. But boy, when that wind is blowing, it's the thing. How do you like it? Would you prefer it to just be cold? Would you prefer it to be snowy? Would you prefer, like, for example, would you prefer weather like Denver, where it snows like mad crazy and then it's gone the next day? Or would you prefer like that northeastern where you get the blizzards and you get all, or do you prefer the Minnesota, the lake effects? What type of cold would you prefer?
If it's going to be brutally cold, I want to be snowed in.
Yeah.
If it's going to be cold, give me the snow. If it's just going to be regular cold, keep the wind away. Please, snow, take it or leave it. But if we're going to have like, highs in the teens, there better be snow on the ground. Gosh dang it. But if we're going to be in the 20s or the 30s, just be still. Be calm.
You prefer snow as opposed to sleet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes. All the time.
Yeah, I think that's manageable. You really got to have skills to drive.
You got to scoop your own driveway, or you have people for that?
No scooping for Stricky.
Dang.
That's why I prefer the way.
Bougie.
That's why I prefer the way that I live. I
Yeah.
prefer to live in condo, townhouse, those type of communities. And you wake up and they got the little truck out there going, and it's done.
When Olivia and I lived at our apartment, they would bring the truck through our parking lot as a favor to us. Except here's the thing, Strick. They went through the aisles, but if your car was already parked there, they just pile up all the snow behind your car.
Yeah, that's
like
an
it
issue.
completely defeated the purpose.
That is an issue. I couldn't think. I think when I look at that part, one of the tough ones for me, Austin, was that happens a lot in New York. So in New York, what was wild about how that went down is they would tell you on these days, this day, there's going to be the street sweepers too. Mm-hmm. So say there's no snow, they're gonna street sweep. If your car's parked there, they would boot you or they would literally tow your car. Like it was crazy. So you better be on point with that. Then when it would snow, it's like, I've got nowhere to go. But if your car's there, you would be blocked in. It would be a freaking pile of, and it's that slushy, thick stuff too. So it's not the soft snow. No. It's that heavy, slushy
snowball snow.
Yeah. So that's the part that I hated about that.
And the taxes.
And
the taxes.
And then I'm paying those taxes. You better dig my car out.
And keep that boot off it.
That part.
On the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. Old Dad 34 says, fellas, I want northeast weather, like 7 inches of snow. I'm not mad about it. I don't need it every year. As long as there's snow covering the grass on Christmas, I'm generally happy. I don't love snow as much as I used to because we don't get snow days. Ricky, we're working men. We're working stiff. We're professionals. Snow days just aren't really a thing. Like as a kid, oh yeah.
Give it to me.
Keep it coming. Yeah. Anymore, it's just like, yeah, I'll take a little bit here and there, but the more snow there is, the more likely it is to melt and freeze and melt and freeze and melt and freeze, and the roads in your neighborhood don't get salted. You don't want to go out the whole block and just chip it. Obnoxious to clear off a driveway, especially when it has a slant like ours does a little bit. So I'll take a little bit of snow. It looks pretty, but then what I hate more than anything with snow, Strick, is that gray slushy crap.
Yeah.
Snow is supposed to sit there and just be beautiful to look at, be calm and serene. Gets my shoes dirty, gets my car dirty, gets my floors dirty. I don't want to mop. And the salt is a pain in the butt.
I can't stand that stuff too.
Jeez,
shout out to the Stonebriar crew, Bellevue, stand up, Cape Heart, everybody in the Cape Heart family. Yeah, if you know, you know. Back when I was young, there was a situation that happened for me. Obviously, when I've told you the story when my dad was talking about we're gonna go to Offutt and you know it's in Nebraska. I ain't leaving, But we come to Nebraska literally in the middle of the winter. So we came right before Christmas. So it was in the November time frame. And we had one of the biggest snow blizzards, not ice, but it was drifting snow. So the snow piled up on the garage. So you couldn't open the garage. You dang near couldn't open the door. You had to dig yourself out. It was like the igloo. You know how the old igloo, you kind of you can look through and stuff type of stuff. So we get here in one of those. But that's how I got to introduce myself to my neighborhood, which is Stonebriar, right there off, just off of Cape Heart. Leewood Oaks area. If you're a Bellevueite, you would understand where I'm talking about. Yeah, Bellevue. Yeah, what do you say?
I don't even know.
Bellevue Inn? I don't know. Whatever you say. But that's how I got to introduce myself to the neighbors, because we were the corner house at the bottom of this area. So you could drive into the neighborhood, pull up, boom, Nottingham Drive. We were the last house right there on Nottingham Drive. And you would have to go that way because it was flat. So you come out of my garage, you go left, you can get out of the neighborhood if it snowed, it iced, whatever the case may be. But you go to the right, there's a big hill.
You're not coming back.
You're sliding, you're not making it up the hill, so it was just better to just go to the left and get out of the neighborhood. But boy, my neighbors had the sleds.
Yeah.
We were going down the hill. We had an absolute ball. Shout out to them. Those are fun times, man. When you're young, you just get outside, get on the sled, hang out, up and down. Now, pause. When I was in Montana, because I lived in Great Falls too, shout out to Montana State that went 13-0, had a really good run, but we talked about that. North Dakota State, once again, that winning pedigree gets it done. 10th championship, shout out to them. But I lived in Great Falls, Montana. And when I tell you, Austin, it didn't matter what happened, we were going to school. Those stories that you get from your old families, your old parents. Did any of your parents ever tell you those things when you were young? That I used to go to school in 8 inches of snow,
uphill
and it
both
didn't
ways.
matter, right?
Yep.
I know you heard the story, but yes.
Stricky,
young Stricky, 5th grade, 4th grade, walking to school solo. Pops didn't get in the car. There's kids today are spoiled rotten because the parents are literally driving them in the heat. I had to be bundled up, big gloves,
nothing but your eyes exposed.
The snowsuit. We had the big snowsuit, the big boots, and I'm telling you, I'm walking to school up to my thighs in snow. That's tricky.
And you loved every second of it, didn't you?
And I did. Until I got my butt, I got bit in the butt by a dog. Trying to take a shortcut one day, Austin. I'm not going to tell that story because we've got some things in store. We're going to tell stories. I'm not going to tell.
What kind of dog?
I'm not going to tell it.
Here's a little chihuahua.
And the reason why I'm not going to tell it.
Stricky got got by a poodle.
I'm not going to tell it.
He got by a poodle.
And the reason I'm not,
got by a poodle,
is there's some things in the works. There's some things that's working around here on 93.7 The Ticket. We're not going to give all the details yet, but I promise you in the next couple of weeks, you'll probably hear more about what's happening here on The Ticket. Some additions, some changes, some rearrangements, and all those things are in the works. So that's where we're thinking about doing something, in the discussions that we've been having, that those type of stories are going to be good for. And I think I'm going to save it.
But you got by a poodle.
No,
man.
It wasn't a poodle. I can promise you that. So, Austin, what's so special about our show, though? There's somebody that takes really good care of us.
Nepco.
Man, there they are.
NepcoInc.com.
That's them.
Hiring mechanics for their constructors brand. Hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete. Check it all out at NepcoInc.com, people. Highly recommend. Big shout out to Nepco. Love y'all. Big shout out to Nepco. And there's also we talked about, some changes and some rearrangements and some things that are on the work here on The Ticket that are going to be happening really soon. Probably sometime, early next month, sometime next month. We'll see how it goes. But there's also some rearrangements, some changes, some musical chairs, a lot of things that are happening in the NFL coaching cycle right now. It's a carousel going on. And we're going to get into some discussion about which teams that have, had some discussions with coaches and had some conversations with who they might want to, because we've seen a lot of firings, both in the coaching side of things, as well as by way of GMs. There's been some shifts, some rearrangements, some changes. And we're going to talk about the outlook of that. And I want to let you cook. I want to let you get in the cocina and do like Tipsy Tina and start, brewing up some stuff like Chancellor. You know what I'm saying?
And here's something that I want to talk about, because we see a couple teams going a few ways. Let's start with the Patriots. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it looks as if the Patriots are trying to reignite the fire, the spark, the vigor that they used to have there when Belichick was in the mix. Not bringing back Belichick, that's the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks as if they're having discussions, and they plan to have an interview. Today is Wednesday, but they're looking to have an interview with an old guard member, but a new guard coach, in Mike Vrabel. He looks to be the front runner at this point in time. What's your thought about trying to reignite that old dynasty spark?
Vrabel's kind of the hot name this cycle, right? Fired by Tennessee, spending years an analyst with Cleveland, and now has interviews with, like you said, the Patriots. The Bears have requested to interview him as well. Probably the two biggest jobs out there, I would say, this cycle in terms of the brand, the recognition. But Stricky, the Patriots already tried to reignite that old flame with a new guard type of coach, to use your words, in Gerard Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they tried to do. He was on staff. He was around, former Patriots player, new Patriots way and everything. They already tried it. Now, it sounds like the culture in New England has been deteriorating for a while. Bill Belichick mentioned that 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and hasn't necessarily gotten better. He's blaming the Kraft family for it, which I'm sure didn't do him any favors in getting back into the NFL or in how he left New England. But I see what New England is going for, bringing Vrabel, hopefully for them, back home, and that knows the area, that knows a lot of the power players involved, has a pretty good reputation as a head coach in the NFL. Tennessee was never great. Tennessee was never elite, but they were fine. They were good. They were better than the Patriots have been, and I think Vrabel's potentially the right kind of guy, knowing the division, how he knows it, knowing those coaches, how he knows them, to get New England back to respectability instead of trying to tank for the first overall draft pick. Again, it's that very fine line. If you're going to hire someone you're familiar with, you better be sure it works out, because you don't want to undo a reputation in that building that's pretty darn good. We've seen that at Nebraska in multiple sports in multiple ways.
Yeah.
So there's I would say similar levels of risk to hiring a Mike Vrabel compared to, say, a Byron Leftwich or a Pep Hamilton. The risk is just of a different sort.
No doubt. Well, let's stay right there real quick, and then we'll move on, because I think I want to talk about the Jets as well. They're also looking at potentially interviewing a pretty good offensive mind in Ben Johnson, out of the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And to me, we just talked about it yesterday. Guys like Ben Johnson, who are thriving right now, we know that sometimes you want to pull the kettle off the stove when it's hot, right? When you hear that, you want to pull, you want to pull and pour. Like it's that thing now where Ben is hot, things that are going well. How far can he go with Detroit if they pull off, and get a Super Bowl win? Like, what does that look like for him? Is it that time? But is it the place? So that's the discussion I want to talk. What's your thought about that possible move that they're looking at with that interview?
For the Patriots?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, because I saw something a couple days ago, Amon-Ra St. Brown talking about Ben Johnson, just how good of a communicator he was, a different level of communicator, even for NFL circles, making sure there wasn't gray area, making sure there weren't any details that were left uncovered. But Strick, this is where Ben Johnson has to take a good look at the jobs that are available and look at guys who are glad they took the leap, but guys who are maybe a little disappointed that they weren't able to take the leap. I think of a guy like Bobby Slowick in Houston, what he was able to do last year with C.J. Stroud, make him one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. And then this year, Houston's offense regresses. Bobby Slowick didn't miss his chance, but sometimes you got to strike while the iron's hot. While you are that hot commodity, like we're talking about in college with NIL, right? While you have the opportunity to do this, we would advise them to take advantage of it, right? Because it might not ever be like this again. But sometimes there's virtue and there is value in waiting and being patient. And Ben Johnson saying, I'm not sure if this is the job for me. I'm not sure if that's the job for me. I still want to be an NFL head coach, but we got a good thing going here in Detroit. Let me wait the cycle out another year. New England would be interesting to me because their front office is certainly having some questions. Sounds like Elliot Wolf is still around there in the general manager position, and they got a decent starting spot too. I mean, for the next 5 years, would you rather have Jared Goff or Drake May? You can't really go wrong there, but I think what Drake May showed you this year as a rookie quarterback was pretty exciting. So if you have the quarterback in place, you like your ability to call plays and communicate, New England's not the worst place to land, but is that where he wants to land? That's, I guess, what we'll see.
Let's turn to the Jets now, because to me, the Jets are looking both to the old and to the new. The Jets are also, they're looking at the Rex Ryan rebirth, the rebirth of Rex Ryan, let's say that. They're looking at Rex Ryan as well as, and now also they're looking at interviewing the new dynasty of the Chiefs group. They're basically saying the Chiefs have found something. They found like the fountain of youth. They found like the Holy Grail. They found like what did they have in the Bible? The oh gosh, my mind just drew a blank.
I don't know where it goes.
The in the Old Testament,
the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant. It's like they found that in what's going on with the Chiefs, and so they look like they're trying to also interview and bring in candidates like Mike Borgonzi. Yeah. Who is the assistant GM. It's looked like that's something that they're looking at. They're also having conversations with Matt Nagy, potentially there. That's another one. They're also requesting to have conversations with Steve Spagnuolo. So it's looked like they're turning to that, but also looking to the old guard of some of the most successful time that they had in Rex Ryan when the Jets were doing their thing.
The Rex Ryan one makes absolutely no sense to me by any sense at all. The Chiefs one makes some more sense, right? You want to copy success. You want to see how winning organizations operate. But dear Jets fans, don't do it. Don't do it. Do not hire a Kansas City Chiefs assistant general manager, because then you'll go 8 years of his tenure without a division title. Signed, all Colts fans who have watched the Chris Ballard era play out with every other team winning a division title in the last 8 years, except the Indianapolis Colts. So stay away, Jets fans. I think Chiefs fans would be thrilled if Matt Nagy leaves. I don't think they like him. I don't think he's been good for Patrick Mahomes in that offense. I think there's a lot of handicapping going on there that we didn't see with his predecessor, Eric Bieniemy. So I get where they're going from, Strick. I think on the surface, it's a good idea to, hey, talk to Chiefs people. They probably have an idea of what's going on. But man, Rex Ryan and Matt Nagy don't move the needle for me. Steve Spagnuolo is an interesting one. Had that shot as head coach of the Rams back when they were in St. Louis. Wouldn't hate him getting another shot. That would be a big blow to the Chiefs, if you ask me.
I think one last one that I might want to discuss a little bit. And what's going on with the Colts?
Brother, we do not have enough time.
We don't.
We do not have enough time. What I will say, the other interesting job for me, Strick, is the Bears. I do not trust that front office one bit. They want to talk to Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
They want to talk to Pete Carroll.
I saw that.
After a year off. That one's pretty interesting to me. Then you have the offensive names and the defensive names. You got Todd Monken, Arthur Smith, Joe Brady. You get Brian Flores, who's the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, was head coach down in Miami.
Bill Belichick.
And how about this, Strick?
Bill Belichick.
The Bears wanted to interview Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And the Cowboys said no.
Negative, Ghost Rider. Your patterns.
All of that is so funny to me.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Did you hear about Bill Belichick potentially too?
I think they've moved off of him.
They got
I
off?
think the Bears have.
Well, there's a reason why, but we won't get into that right now.
Hey.
There's a potential reason why. Yeah. Stay tuned for that potential bombshell as to the why Bill Belichick has no chance at going potentially to the Bears. But we got to get out of here and take a break. You know who we are. We're on the block, and you're hanging out on the block with us. Strick, Austin Orman. We're going to come right back.
With Evan Bland.
You know who's coming, Evan Bland. We're going to discuss some things with the Huskers as well as just some local Nebraska news with Evan Bland when we get back with Omaha World Herald, 937 The Ticket. We are on the block.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
The Body Lab, located at 14th and Yankee Hill, is Lincoln's premier physical therapy and recovery lab. The Body Lab offers trigger point dry needling, cupping therapy, joint manipulation, and so much more. Looking to relax and relieve stress after a long day or difficult workout? The Body Lab's recovery lab is the ideal spot. Featuring infrared sauna, a cold plunge tub, or if you're just looking for enough space to stretch out and reset your mind. Learn more about memberships and schedule your service today at thebodylablnk.com. Or visit the Body Lab in person at 14th and Yankee Hill Road.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block. Austin Norman and Eric Strickland with you. We are headed to our VIP line brought to you by our friends at Aloe Fiber, who understand what, Stricky?
The importance of exceptional service with local heart.
That they do. Make sure you check out Aloe Fiber. We welcome in a guy that we love to have on the show. We haven't had for a while because of the holidays. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, it's been darn near a month, it feels like, since we've talked to you. How are you, man?
Hey, yeah, it has. I mean, we had Christmas and, whatever last week might have been. I don't know. I'm New Year's.
The New Year. Come on, yeah. Evan.
Well, it was a week, sure. Yeah, it has. It's been a while. I'm happy to be back on the block. How are you guys doing?
Evan, you was outside on New Year's. You was on one of those downtown bikes or with the horses or something where they were going all around, and you had one tossing it up. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm.
You know what I appreciate is I was downtown for kind of right around there, and they still have like those trolleys, like those party trolleys that you can sit in. Those are popular for like bachelor parties or whatever. And like they had those with like plastic coverings over the outer edge, so you could actually go and do the thing and not be totally freezing. So I appreciate people that did that. I was not in one of those, but yeah, that seems like that was the place to be.
Did you hit one on your bowl trip to New York?
You know, there's not a lot of space to do anything in New York. I think those travel trolleys that roll around Lincoln, those things get swallowed up in New York, man. I mean, there'd be this constant honking and things like that. But no, I mean, that was a great trip in its own right. You know, the food's good, the weather maybe not quite so much. But you come back and you battle like the traffic in Lincoln and Omaha, and suddenly it feels a whole lot better after you've been in the Big Apple for a few days.
What's better, watching Nebraska football in that weather or watching Nebraska baseball in that weather?
Well, the real feel was not part of the discussion in the pregame, so I was happy about that. That was a non-issue. I don't know. Like I got really interested in the history from that 1962 Gotham Bowl and the conditions that they played in Bob Devaney's first year. And so like, this wasn't that, but it wasn't all that far off either. I mean, it was rainy when you stepped on the field, like there's standing water that would squelch up under your shoe. And, you know, it was kind of raining and like the confetti fell in plops afterward. And so I don't know, it kind of felt like a throwback in a lot of ways. And maybe not the kind of environment you want to play every football game in. But I thought for kind of what it was for Nebraska this year, for their identity as a defensive team, like there was a certain amount of, I don't know, it just seemed kind of appropriate in a lot of ways for them to end on that kind of sort of a quirky stage. So I'll take football in this case. You know, Nebraska baseball plays on some cool venues. I don't think they've played in Yankee Stadium yet, so maybe that's on their bucket list.
That would be quite the scene if Husker baseball ever got to Yankee Stadium. With a couple weeks to look back at the bowl win and then the season as a whole, Evan, what's the vibe for you coming out of the 2024 season for Nebraska football?
I mean, it was a step forward. Like the thing that they had to do was play in the postseason. They had to get that bowl streak or that bowl drought off their back. You had to make sure that was not part of the narrative anymore. And they did that. Like that's the thing that couldn't carry over into the next year. Like you couldn't start 5-1 the way they did and lose out. Like that kills your momentum. And so the way that they were able to end it with a victory, you get the winning season by winning the bowl game. I think that was important. Like when you start talking about program momentum and bringing in recruits, like they're not going to follow all the details the way that maybe a lot of Husker fans will, or we would. Like they want to say, hey, in year 2, Matt Rule got his team back on track and got the program to a place where they haven't been in a while. So I think that was probably the most important thing. You got a year of experience now for Dylan Raiola, and you continue to build around him for what's coming next year. And I think they also, you know, Matt Rule has kind of said before, like it takes a couple years with your staff to figure out, you know, the best place for people and who's best suited to be in that program at that time. And I think they learned a lot in this season with the coordinator changes that they made. You know, ultimately, offensive, defensive, special teams, all are going to have different coordinators next year. So I think it was an important growth year, learning season for what Nebraska wants to be moving forward. And it does feel like maybe there's going to be a different, you know, emphasis, urgency, whatever you want to call it, because of what they just experienced this last season.
Evan, I got something I want to throw out to you, because one of the hardest things to do, there's going to be a few players, probably 2 or 3, but one will just be your insider thought on how you feel about it. But one of the hardest things to do, and one of the smallest windows that you have, is in the line department. Offensive line, I think, is hardest, and then I think, you know, defensive line is up there as well. But for someone to jump into the transfer portal and you're able to land a high quality guy early in the process of this of the portal season, to get Elijah Pritchard out of Alabama when you've been struggling at the left tackle position, and you land someone with the quality starts that he's had in the SEC, although struggled a little bit last year, still to be able to get someone of that caliber out of the transfer portal is absolutely magnanimous this earlier in the process. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't for lack of trying, right? Like they had Isaiah World was a previous visitor who commits to Oregon. They had the Washington State tackle who ended up following his old coaching staff to Wake Forest. So like Nebraska was probably number 2, maybe number 3 in both of those portal recruitments. And then they just kind of said, okay, we're going to reset in January and just know that more quality options are going to emerge. And sure enough, like Elijah Pritchett goes in and Nebraska locks him down pretty quickly. I mean, he goes in and comes on a visit and then commits right out of that visit. Nebraska didn't want him to go elsewhere and take other offers. And, he's an interesting addition in the sense that, his production, kind of as you mentioned, was okay. He went against some top-end SEC pass rushers every week, and it was hit-miss at times. But he's also a former 5-star recruit with a ton of potential who has 2 years left. I think that's another key thing in his addition is this is not a one-and-done situation. He could be that guy on the edge for a couple of years. And so we'll see. Like Nebraska clearly felt like they needed help on the edges. You lose Bryce Benhart on the right side, who's been there for a long time. And then your left side is a little bit murky. I mean, you got good work from Gunnar Gatula last year when he was pressed into duty. And then you have guys like Turner Corcoran and Teddy Prohaska who have been starters on that left tackle spot who are both coming off injuries and kind of they're figuring out what the next steps are. So Nebraska needed somebody else in that room. They had other guys that they certainly were pursuing, but at this point they said, they felt like Pritchett was their best option. He needs to be here now so they can have him for spring ball. And sure enough, they were able to get it done. So credit Nebraska and the coaching staff for moving pretty quickly on that.
Yeah. And then these two are kind of in combination because you had two individuals that jumped into the transfer portal. One decided to pull his name out of the hat. You're looking at Isaiah Nair, who jumps into jumps into the portal as well as for NFL draft stuff and finds himself withdrawing there and making his way in. Do you believe that was a leverage play? Because it seemed to me as if it could have been similar to what Emmett Johnson did, kind of put his head in there. Then all of a sudden he comes out and it seemed like it was a leverage play out of the wide receiver room. Now, on the second hand, Gabe Ervin Jr. finds his way going over to Kansas State. I'm happy for the young man. I hope that he gets a tremendous opportunity as a redshirt junior to be able to go there and get an opportunity. We saw what it did for Dylan Edwards, coming out of Colorado, and just what that running back room looked like. And they had great success there. I'm hoping that he's able to go there and get an opportunity. So your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I think it's an example of a lot of the different ways the portal works. Like even like 2 years ago when the money was not what it is now, like it was a little more clear cut where guys would transfer. Maybe there was a coaching change. Maybe it was just, hey, they want an opportunity to start somewhere else. And now the decisions, while those are still factors, they're not the only factors. And you still have a lot of money issues. So, I mean, yeah, I think with the guys that you mentioned, there were examples of going into the portal and assessing your worth. And sometimes it's a leverage play, and the school that you were at says, okay, we do want you to stay. And so they make that happen, and then you stay. And I think other times what can happen is you go in and you assess your value and you say, hey, maybe what I thought I could get wasn't what my actual worth is being viewed at from other schools. And so then you stay because that's where you are, and it's a similar value and that sort of thing. So I think there's so many different motivations, so many things going on behind the scenes. You have examples of guys like Nate Borkershire, who had no real intention to leave Nebraska until Texas A&M made him an offer he couldn't refuse. So, like, it's not always kind of the old conversations about loyalty or playing time. Like there's 6 and 7 figure dollar amounts now that are in play. And so I don't think we're going to be privy to all the details until we get to a point where the money that the university now moving forward with revenue sharing is paying them becomes public knowledge. Like when that happens, I think that'll bring some more clarity to some of these decisions that are being made. But it's a deal. It's a system right now where it's very player friendly, and so you're going to have your opportunity, especially if you're a guy like Naor. I mean, you're going to be able to get your NFL grade. You're going to be able to go and see what your existing school's offering you in terms of money, and then you can go out into the portal and see what kind of offers you get there as well. So you have a lot of people that are coming at you, a lot of information to weigh, and I think guys are just kind of making the decisions they feel like make the most sense for them individually.
When you look at, Evan, the 15 transfers that Nebraska has brought in, how do you think Nebraska has done in addressing whatever holes you viewed the roster having? Have they pretty much hit their wish list? I mean, they get the tackle Pritchett today, another one on campus today as well. When you look at what you think Nebraska was targeting in the transfer portal, how do you think the Huskers have done in filling out their wish list?
Pretty good. I mean, 15 guys, ultimately, you think about even a couple of years ago when Matt Rule came in, he said, okay, it was going to be, you still want to be a development program and you want to supplement out of the portal. And for a year or two, that's kind of how it went. This year, they signed 20 high school players, and they're already at 15 portal ads, and that number's probably not done yet. It could very well be close to a 1-to-1 ratio when you talk about adding portal to high school guys, which is, I think, interesting and a reflection of urgency and where college football is right now. But, I mean, you think about how December started and Tony White goes to Florida State and Terrence Knighton goes with him, and Nebraska's front seven defensively is decimated in terms of not just expiring eligibility, but also guys who have transferred out. So I think that was where you had to start. You had to address the depth at defensive line, at linebacker. So, Nebraska's, I think, done that very well. You bring in a guy like Marquise Watson-Trent, who's a proven production guy from Georgia Southern, Dasan McCullough, who's a kind of a linebacker nickel type from Oklahoma, a number of defensive line options. So that's probably where I would start. Receiver as well. I mean, you talk about an Isaiah Hunter, who was his team's leading playmaker at Cal, and Dane Key and Hardly Gilmore from Kentucky. Like those are depth pieces and potential starters that you had to have. And of course, special teams. You bring in a new punter, a new long snapper. That's an area you have to shore up as well. So I think pretty good. And now your wish list at this point, to me, is probably you'd still like to have one more offensive tackle. So you're working on that. At some point, you wonder if they'll dabble in a running back potentially out of the portal. It's interesting because to this point, they haven't had any known running back visitors out of the portal come in, which tells you they're pretty comfortable or optimistic about what that group can be. But maybe that's something that turns the corner for them, and maybe one more defensive lineman for a depth piece. I think that's something, Matt Rule has often said you can't have enough of those guys, and maybe one more veteran piece who could be a rotational player would be something they'd be in the market for as well. But I think overall you're probably 85% done with what you want to do. And, Nebraska took some big swings at some coveted players in the portal, and they landed some of them. So I think it's been a pretty productive month and a half for the Huskers.
Evan, our text line would not let us allow you to leave this interview if we didn't ask about Husker baseball. What's going on with that program? What's the timeline for them in getting practice underway before the start of their season?
Yeah, their first practice will be, I think it's the 24th of January. It'll be a Friday. And so then that begins the 3-week ramp up to them for them starting their season down in Arizona on February 14th. So, it's coming right up, man. It's going to be a whole different challenge this year in terms of their non-conference schedule. It's really ambitious, challenging, exciting. I think most weekends are going to be early on, and then obviously in the Big Ten, it's going to be a season where you now add UCLA and USC and Washington and Oregon to the mix. And so, I look at Nebraska as one of the favorites, maybe a co-favorite with Oregon, just because of the quality experience that they have back on the mound, in the lineup. I do think the pitching is the thing that sets them apart and could potentially be the thing that makes this a pretty neat season what Nebraska wants to be. But yeah, that's just a few weeks away. I think people will be pretty excited about what that team can be next year. And, we'll see how that goes, because those games start off tough. And as we know, those first few weeks are really critical when you start talking about building up your postseason resume and your RPI for what you want to do in May and June.
And last thing, actually, for you this time, it seems like Fred Hoiberg and Will Bolt have taken a very similar approach in roster building, right? To win in the Big Ten and to get the schedule they want. They're scheduling more difficult, but not overly difficult. But then, Evan, it's another pretty old roster for Nebraska, right? A lot of new faces, as always. But just like on the men's basketball side, Nebraska baseball is bringing in a lot more older transfers. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they like to build from the junior college level, which they did last year. That was a big reason why they took the jump they did. They've added a few more of those players, a few veteran transfers. Hogan Haligso, the catcher from Creighton, you figure, I mean, he's a senior who can settle right in and do that job. Cale Frost, who comes over from South Dakota State, he was the Summit League Player of the Year. They feel like he could be, a pretty quick contributor for them. And Nebraska has the luxury this year, and they really haven't had this in the Will Bolt era, of being able to roll out most of the key guys that they had last year. I mean, you lose Josh Karen, catcher, you lose Brett Sears, who was your Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. But other than that, you can roll out, if you wanted to, everybody who was in the lineup for your regional games last season. And that's without taking into account some of the guys that I mentioned who are coming in. They feel good about some bullpen pieces. I think the pitching is going to take another step in terms of development. So it's a huge luxury. And it's one, when you look around the Big Ten and even around the nation, you're going to see a lot of turnover in college baseball because of the portal and things of that nature. There are a lot of guys at Nebraska that like it here, that feel like they got better last year. And so it really feels like kind of that first chance for Will Bolt and his staff, where they have a group that's already sort of established its identity, and now you're able to build on that instead of having to start over with something new.
Evan, appreciate you spending some time with us. Glad we got the chance to catch up after a few weeks. Hope we can get back into the rhythm of doing this Wednesdays here at 2:30. Appreciate it, man.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys. See ya.
That's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald with us on our Allo Fiber VIP line. Allo is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Check out Evan's writing at omaha.com. Give him a follow on Twitter or X at Evan Bland OWH. We'll go to break. When we get back, Bill Belichick still receiving calls from NFL teams. We'll touch on that, if there's any legit interest or not, to wrap up hour one. Before we got to get into it, the collapse for Nebraska men's basketball on the road at Iowa. We know you all have thoughts. Get those ready. We'll dive into the Huskers' loss at 3.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
New year, new you? Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping can help make sure you keep that resolution this time. Our proven system combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition, along with our expert coaching to make sure you're moving forward toward your goals. The next 10-week challenge starts January 11th, but if you enroll now, you can start today and get a head start on those gains for no extra cost. Plus, head to fxblincoln.com and you can save $100. Don't wait. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Let's talk about trading up. Not what you're thinking. You could never trade her in, but you can trade up her stone if you like. Signify the growth of your love, the challenges you have overcome, or any part of your love journey by trading up her diamond. Whether it's been 5 years, 25 years, or 50, say it with a bling. Big love, big bling. We got you. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
The Body Lab, located at 14th and Yankee Hill, is Lincoln's premier physical therapy and recovery lab. The Body Lab offers trigger point dry needling, cupping therapy, joint manipulation, and so much more. Looking to relax and relieve stress after a long day or difficult workout? The Body Lab's recovery lab is the ideal spot. Featuring infrared sauna, a cold plunge tub, or if you're just looking for enough space to stretch out and reset your mind. Learn more about memberships and schedule your service today at thebodylablnk.com or visit the Body Lab in person at 14th and Yankee Hill Road.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Cloud cover on the increase tonight, not nearly as cold as we'll see a low down to around 13. Tomorrow looks blustery. We'll reach up to a high of 34, but northwest winds could gust over 30, and we'll even see a chance of some scattered snow showers tomorrow evening as lows tomorrow night drop to 21. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road. League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history in the making as Love Omaha Volleyball takes on Love Madison in the team's inaugural home match. Be there to watch Olympic teammates Jordan Larson and Lauren Carlini go head-to-head in a battle of the world's best. Visit LOVBOMA.com for tickets starting at $31. Volleyball is the next major league.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group, trial attorneys you can trust.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100 and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Big thanks as always to our guy Evan Bland for joining us again Wednesdays at 2:30. Looking to get that back up and going. Kind of weird when holidays fall in the middle of the week. Couldn't talk with Evan, but nice to catch up a little bit with him on Husker football, Husker baseball. Appreciate y'all on the text line chiming in with some comments here. You've heard from Railroader Matt, Justin, Bill and Bennett, and Tommy as well. Stricky, one last thing on the NFL coaching carousel. Sounds like people have been reaching out to Bill Belichick on the down low in the back channels of communication, which is pretty interesting given that he just, of course, took the job at North Carolina, and these teams had plenty of opportunity to talk with him before now, right? Would it be worth it for a team to pay Bill Belichick's $10 million buyout at this point? Or how pissed would Carolina be if an NFL team swoops in, Bill Belichick says, yeah, sorry, I really loved you, but I found someone else I love more all of a sudden?
Well, I think
come on, man.
I think there would be some definite disappointment in that. But could you fault them with how things are going right now with what we've just now engaged in this transfer portal situation, what we have seen prior to the NIL and the transfer portal with coaches that had made decisions. Some had lied on resumes, had committed to situations, and then all of a sudden bail out. So we've seen this start, and so I wouldn't put it past anybody, any coach, to include Bill Belichick. But Bill Belichick, to me, he comes from that era of still there still was a level of respect. There still was a level of honesty and character and integrity. And it seemed to me that that's what he built it on. Like, you say what you will about him as a coach, as as a leader or whatever the case,
cheater.
You know what I mean? Whatever you want to say about him, but he still comes from that era, that time frame. And so I wouldn't envision that would be the case. He's not a clout chaser. He didn't seem to be someone that was looking to be Instagram famous or TikTok famous or nothing like that. He kind of kept to himself. He didn't even like to really deal with media, to which that's going to have to change. And that's going to have to change with the way that he deals with it in college. He could get cold feet, because looking at all the handshaking and all the kissing and all the, stuff you have to do sometimes as being a collegiate coach, you're dealing with boosters and collectives and all these people that you really didn't have to deal with. I mean, you did business, you dealt with businesses and corporations and the locals and maybe the mayors and, different people, politicians and stuff like that on that level, but you didn't really have to deal with them or coddle to them and parents and, just all the things you had. Could get cold feet and say, well, shoot, I really like the NFL situation better. I mean, they're giving me a bigger bag. He doesn't really need the money.
No.
But I'm sure he would take it if gifted to him. So I don't know. When I look at it from that standpoint, that's the way I envision it. It's possible, but I can definitely know it wasn't going to happen in Chicago.
No.
Yeah. If you don't know, now you know.
We can just leave it at
That's what Biggie used to say. I mean, if you don't know, now you know. There's some things that we don't want to talk about it on the block. If we were having after hours on the block, that would be a discussion that we might have, but not right now. What you say?
Let me just say very briefly, it is not going to happen. I don't think Bill Belichick is going to back out of his contract with Carolina this year, and especially not before June 1st. I mean, that's a $10 million buyout versus a $1 million buyout. But let me just say, from the bottom of my heart, nothing would thrill me more than to see him leave Carolina like that.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, Blue Dookie.
I would have a heyday.
Have you ever seen Blue Dookie? We're going to go to commercial.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
For your next big opportunity, Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting book. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Cloud cover on the increase tonight, not nearly as cold as we'll see a low down to around 13. Tomorrow looks blustery. We'll reach up to a high of 34, but northwest winds could gust over 30. And we'll even see a chance of some scattered snow showers tomorrow evening as lows tomorrow night drop to 21. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100 and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Ever wonder what it's like to work for a company that actually cares? At Lincoln Industries, they're revolutionizing local manufacturing while taking care of their most valuable asset, their people. When you join their team, you'll enjoy comprehensive health coverage, wellness initiatives that work around your life, and benefits that show they're serious about your future. Plus, you'll be a part of a proud manufacturing tradition right here in the community. Don't just take their word for it. Visit LincolnIndustries.com to see all their current opportunities and find out why their people love calling Lincoln Industries home.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
That it is, hour 2 of a Hump Day show here on a Wednesday. I'm Austin, he's Strick. We're diving into some Husker hoops here momentarily, but first, we want to thank our friends at NEPCO. Check them out at nepcoinc.com. They're looking for mechanics for their constructors company. Check them out at constructorslincoln.com. Or if you are a CDL driver or want to get into that world, Ready Mixed Concrete and NEPCO will pay for your CDL training with a $2,500 hiring bonus. Check them out at readymixedconcrete.com. Again, nebcoinc.com is the overall website. You can find everything we're talking about there. 402-464-5685. Do you have any more thoughts on Nebraska men's basketball? Strictly, we weren't putting it off. We weren't delaying the conversation. We were going to have it, but we wanted to make sure we had enough time to fully flesh out this conversation. Not an embarrassing loss for Nebraska last night. It's quad one. It's on the road. It's a place you've only won twice since you've joined the league if you're in Nebraska. I thought Nebraska started a little slow in this one, got down early. It was different than UCLA. It was Iowa's pace on offense instead of speed, athleticism, and strength on defense. Nebraska fights back from down 7 to take an 8-point lead. And then Strick at the end of the first half, Iowa cuts the 8-point lead down to 3 at halftime. So just kind of big picture here. Nebraska missed an opportunity to extend lead in the last 3 minutes of the first half, but the Huskers come out hot in the second half. They get up by 15 points with 13 minutes to go. 15 is a pretty good lead against a team that can shoot it like Iowa, though. 15's more like 10. Nebraska didn't stretch that lead out to 20. They let Iowa's best players get hot. Iowa whittles away, takes the lead. And yes, bad reffing. Yes, some questionable calls, all of that. But my main takeaway from this game isn't the refs. Strick, as bad as they were, some really questionable, really shaky, and some downright just awful missed calls. Nebraska had every opportunity to win this game in the first half, to put it away in the second half. Plain and simple, they didn't do it. So instead of being 3-1 in conference, they're sitting at 2-2. Again, not a huge difference, but for a team that needs to succeed to where you've said on the margins, this is a game on the margins that Nebraska let slip.
Well, see, that's what I kind of was alluding to on yesterday on the block, was a little bit about that discussion about coming off of a big win at home, a ranked opponent. What do you do afterwards? What is it going to look like after what transpired when you went up to Michigan State and got drubbed by the Sparty? And now you've got an opportunity, a team that was kind of down, struggling a little bit, coming off of, giving up 116 points. Yes, they almost score 100 in this game too. But you had this team down 15. And one of the things for me is it feels, like I'm not going to say it is because it's still early, but it feels as if this team is okay with being in the middle. You've got to come to a mindset of whether you want to be mid-tier or you want to be top tier. There's a difference in the mindset of being mid-tier and top tier. Top tier requires something, Austin.
Something else.
It requires something else. It requires a situation like that, a game like that, up 15, it requires a burial mentality. It requires an Undertaker mentality. Not the Undertaker that rises up after he'd been put in the grave.
That was Iowa last night.
Right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about you put you put all of the dirt on top of them, and if they're going to try to rise up, all they're going to be able to get is fingers out, like on Thriller, Michael Jackson Thriller. You're looking at Michael Jackson Thriller, and they got their fingers poking out, but they can't get up off the dirt because they bury, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what when you're top tier, you get a team down, and so we're not going to dig into the numbers. We're not going to dig into the rebound. We're not going to dig into. I want to look at it from the perspective of what it would have take to take your mindset to top tier is great communication, making sure that you're there on guys. There shouldn't be one guy, two guys on one guy, and a guy wide open. There's no way that team should have been getting open looks. There's no way that team...
2 passes into an offense.
Right?
2 passes.
There's no way that should have been happening. And again, when those things happen, that's when the sets need to come in. That means it needs to be easier ways by which you find Bryce Williams shots and
do you want to talk
get
offense
guys
or
shots.
Defense first, Ricky?
I mean, I'm going to let you cook.
No. What do you want to talk first?
Well, for me, offense, because defense is my thing.
Okay. The offense, you look at it, you put up 87 points. Not bad for this Nebraska team. Problem is you give up 97, and we'll get to that. Bryce Williams.
You know what their record is when they get over?
Really good.
They've only lost like one game.
Really good.
They shouldn't have even lost that game. Go ahead.
Just a few of the numbers to get out of the way. I mean, Bryce Williams, leading scorer for Nebraska, 28 points, 10 of 20, 4 of 9 in the game, tying three-pointer in the final seconds, 4-4 at the free throw line. He was good. Juwan Gary's numbers, 13 and 13 with 8 offensive rebounds, look good. 5 for 21. He missed so many bunnies at the rim. Inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. Barricade Wiggins and Andrew Morgan were there. They were fine. Not huge impact players.
Wait, pause. Why do you miss bunnies at the rim? Mindset.
Right here.
Why aren't you going and trying to put people in the rim? That's a different mind. Stricky at 6'3" is trying to put people in the rim.
Juwan went up too soft a couple times and went up too hard a couple times as well. Right? He was kind of foul baiting, needed to put some extra juice on it, he thought. And it was a bad game from Juwan Garrett. He would freely admit it, I'm sure. And he's not the reason Nebraska lost this game. But 5 of 21, when the bulk of your shots are inside the free throw line, that's a problem. Nebraska's bigs weren't difference makers. Mia got played off the floor. Morgan and Buchengel weren't huge difference makers. Raleigh Wooster with 14 points on 6-9 had some nice moments, but 2 of 7 at the free throw line. But Strick, just big picture here for the offense now that the numbers are out of the way. Iowa's guys got easy shots to get in rhythm and get going, right? Think about Josh Dix. Wide open threes to start, hit a couple crazy ones at the end of the first half, but he got wide open, easy shots to start things off. Owen Freeman was wide open, bucket naked, as you would say, underneath the basket.
Bucket naked?
Because of maybe it was defense, but also it's a system that Iowa
miscommunication too.
Miscommunication, but Andrew Morgan was never that open. Barricade was never that open. He got one lob to Mia. And then let alone what Iowa was able to do with Peyton Sandfort, Nebraska doesn't get its guys easy buckets like that.
Yeah.
In a game like this, where it's going to be high scoring, where it's going to be fast paced, it's going to be up tempo, because after about the first 25 minutes of the game, Nebraska wasn't slowing Iowa down, which we'll get to here in a minute. Bryce Williams had to work for all 28 of his points. Peyton Sandfort and Josh Dix barely had to work for their 30. So it comes down to a couple things for me. Maybe it's more sets like you're saying. The simplest but probably hardest fix is personnel, right? Esijan going 2 of 6, chucked a couple really bad ones from deep, settled a couple times, right? Iowa's roll guys didn't shoot 2 of 6. They shot better than 2 of 6. Iowa has 4 or 5 guys on the floor who are a threat to do something offensively at all times. Nebraska doesn't. When Nebraska's not executing and guys aren't playing the best of their roles, or things aren't going perfectly, it's harder for Nebraska to get a bucket.
Yeah.
Right? Nebraska stopped working against Iowa to some degree. Nebraska ends up with 14 assists on 33 field goals. That's not good enough against a defense that in the first half, when you moved the ball, you were getting anything you wanted. Missed a couple, but Nebraska stopped moving the ball, started playing ISO, almost mismatch hunted too much, right? Sometimes it's good to grind the offense. Hey, here's a mismatch, go to it and go quick. But Nebraska would go, first move, second move wasn't there. Kick back out, re-enter to try to make another move. It wouldn't work. There are just
But they were doing that the night before. That's carryover.
It's carryover.
They were doing that against UCLA.
There are just so few easy buckets for this Nebraska team, Strick. And I think part of that is roster construction. There are not enough guys who are consistent enough offensively to get easy buckets like Iowa did.
Well, that's what I said at the beginning. That's why I said that free flow offense is listen, I understand when you recruit, for me, you recruit to style of play and your culture. That's one. I also think there needs to be adjustments in the style of play. You can always have your defensive, your defense is the defense the way that it's going to be. I think that's probably one of the most, but I think your offensive personnel is dictated not by the style of play, but I think that's dictated by personnel, where you need to adjust based on the personnel that you have.
What can they do? What can't they do?
Right? The way that you play is going to be based on. So when you added Mia and when you added certain guys to the team, I said, well, I don't think that the methodology of your offense is going to be workable as a whole. I still think you keep it as a base, but I think you need to add some stuff, because there's going to be teams that you're not going to be able to get that off with. It's going to make it difficult because you don't have any guys that can break down the defense. I remember what you said. You said Watson.
Glenn Watson.
Glenn Watson would be a great fit in this style of offense, because he has the breakdown capabilities to set guys up. Worcester doesn't. He does. Worcester's solid. You got a solid point guard, but he's a setup point guard.
Yeah.
So you've got a setup point guard trying to run a style of offense that doesn't complement his style of play. It's the same thing I told you about Dallas a long time ago when they fired Avery Johnson, who was trying to work with the personnel he had. You add Jason Kidd into the mix. Yes, that's fine, but he was working with Devin Harris at the time with a style that was very free-flowing open. You had Dirk who can handle. You had You had this versatility matrix, all these guys that can handle the ball. You didn't necessarily need a specific point guard. Now you have to give the ball to Jason because otherwise you're taking away from his strength. It's the same thing with this team. They need sets. Look, I love their staff. I don't have a problem with anything that they're doing. I don't have a problem with even what they need sets, because when you get into these situations, when you're trying to bury a team, you can't bury them with free flow because you can't get those easy shots. That's when you need to go to a set specific to what's hot. Season wasn't hot. So we're not running double screens like we would run for Reggie Miller. We're not doing that because he's not hot right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not running okay, Bryce is going. So we're running stuff to get Bryce the ball out of the sets to make it easy. Go ahead.
On that point, Bryce Williams hits the 3 to force overtime and then doesn't touch the ball on Nebraska's first possession. Why?
Yeah.
That is malpractice. I don't know if that was a coaching decision. My gut tells me, Strick, just watching the broadcast, I think Braxton Mia ran the wrong play. I think that's a big part of it. But still, Bryce Williams just tied the game for you. He's your leading scorer in the game, and he doesn't touch the ball when you win the tip in overtime? Iowa gets off to a 9-0 run in overtime, and Bryce Williams just barely touched the ball.
Yeah.
What is that?
Because you run free flow. You run free flow to where he gets it, and then he has to try to get something off of it, as opposed to a set that gets him to a specific spot. And guess what you have? You have analytics for days that tells you Bryce Williams at this spot on this side of the floor out of this offensive set is 60%, 70% of his scoring. So you should be able to dictate a play that gets you to that spot, that gets you what you need, which is a good look and a good opportunity for the player that's having the best game right now.
All right, defense. Go off, Stricky.
Yeah. Lackadaisical, mid-tier. And it's mid-tier because when you have a team that's down, they were struggling because they were struggling with the size. They were struggling with all of those types of things. But what happens is when you're mentally tired, what do I always say you revert to?
Your habits.
You revert to old habits. You revert to what's comfortable. What's comfortable is not having to move these feet, not having to have to stay in a defensive stance, not having to talk, not having to rotate, an extra rotation, not being lazy on your switches, which allows slips. All of that stuff comes into play when you're mentally not, and you have to do this on the road yourself. You can't rely on nobody else to bring you up, pump and prime you and get you ready. You have to do it on your own. And that's internal. And that's where leadership and somebody that it is there. And again, Bryce is not really a vocal leader. Jawan should be, but then he's not playing well. So Jawan is a type of player that plays off of what he's doing. Hits a shot, makes a steal, then he turns up for some reason. It should be a constant turn up for him because you're one of the best defensive guys, and you're probably going to be assigned
one of the best defensive guys.
Right. Asisia's not really that. So if he's struggling, his defense is already going to be something that's unreliable to you. So Worcester is capable, got a guy out front he can handle. Ulis is definitely a great guy out front, but he hurts you and all. So you have a bunch of these things, and that's the one thing that you cannot have is a weak link in the structure of your defense. There's where the struggle is going to happen.
It was the defense that was the most disappointing part of all of this, Strick, because Josh Dix was going off in the first half, right? Good for him. Someone's going to go off. It reminded me a little bit of what Patrick McCaffrey did a couple years ago when Nebraska went out there.
Yeah.
In the first
it looked
half.
just like one of those old games, didn't it?
Career high in threes in the first half, but Nebraska found a way to dig deep and win this game. Nebraska gets up 8. They have turnovers, 2 really just bad plays by Cale Jacobson at the end of the first half and not very long. It's not on him, but it's just kind of a symptom, an outflow of what was going on. So instead of being up 8, up 10 at half, you're only up 3. You gave Iowa life. They're one of their third best player, keeps them in it a little bit. They get to halftime, they get a chance to regroup. But hey, guess what? Nebraska comes out, they play well. They build a 15-point lead. And Strick, from there, it felt like they relaxed. Like they got comfortable. They were scoreboard watching, clock watching, whatever it was. You could sense the switch flip off. That Nebraska wasn't as locked in, wasn't as connected, wasn't as engaged. Some of that's a credit to Iowa, right? They went a long stretch without a stoppage of play. Braxton Mia played maybe a few more minutes than Fred Hoiberg wanted, and maybe that played into it. But Strick, Harrison can vouch for this when he comes in tonight. We were watching the game back there. Sanford goes to the free throw line. 2 shots, no points in the first half. He gets fouled. He goes to free throw line. I said, okay, he saw the ball go in the basket. You got to watch out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to guard him even more now.
Yeah.
What happens then? Hits
Bang.
a 3. Hits a 3.
Bang.
And then ticky-tack foul. He does the Reggie Miller leg kick, gets the foul call on Bryce Williams. It's more free throws, knocks all 3 of them down. Nebraska got lazy in the half court.
He's on fire.
Nebraska got super lazy in transition.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're taught to protect the paint, right? So I'm not going to fault Nebraska's guys for being late to close out from the paint to the wing. That's on everyone else who is walking up the court, not recovering back to one of the best shooting teams in the Big Ten. Maybe the highest volume shooting team from 3 in the Big Ten, and the 3rd best percentage team is shooting threes in the Big Ten at 38%. You got to know. You give this guy an easy look at free throws. You give him wide open shots because then, Strick, Sanford hit some tough ones.
Yeah.
But you let him see one go in the hoop because you got lazy, because you relaxed, because you got complacent.
Yep.
And you could never get that edge back. That's where not being able to stretch that lead from 8 to 12 kills you. We're not being able to stretch that lead from 15 to 20 kills you. Because 10 points against anyone else, Iowa says 15 and we're fine because of how quick they get hot.
Yeah.
But Nebraska lost that edge and was never able to regain it. And that is why, Strick, I have so little sympathy for the discussion on the refs. Yes, they played a factor. Yes, they were bad. Few really bad fouls on Bryce. Really bad jump ball call when Berkay gets thrown to the floor. And like Mississippi Mud Dog points out, the double dribble at the end. Right in front of the ref.
Yeah.
Right in front of the ref. It was one job to watch that. It was a blown call. There's absolutely no excuse for it.
Well,
but there is no excuse for Nebraska's energy to dissipate the way it did. There's no excuse for Nebraska to hang its head the way it did, to stop communicating. You saw what was working, and you lost it intentionally. You went away from it. You got comfortable. You relaxed. You could never adjust. And that's the frustration for me, is that even with all the crap from the guys in stripes, that's not on them. Nebraska lost this game for themselves before the refs ever did.
Well, that's the part that I there's 2 pieces to what you just said. One, I'll stick with the refs since that's what you were just talking about. That happens on the road. Sometimes you're not going to get a great whistle.
Sanford walked right up under Juwan. It's
okay.
Move on.
I get it, but the issue is you're up 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's the beauty of getting on the road, quieting the crowd down.
That was a crappy crowd last night.
But that's what you got to do is you've got to go to the burial. When you put the dirt on them, you want to pat the dirt down. Don't leave any soft dirt. But guess what? You were soft.
Mm-hmm.
You were soft. You were soft as cottonelle.
Mentally.
And that allowed them to get back in. Let's just be honest. Let me move to that point before we go to break. We talk about tier. Guess where Nebraska finds themselves by that? Mid.
Right now,
They're right there in the mid. But here's why. They're 1-2 on the road. 1-2 on the road. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've lost 2 conference games, both on the road, one by a blowout and one by one that you ended up losing. But
you give up 21 points in overtime, you lose it by 10. That shouldn't happen.
That should not happen.
Can't happen.
And we've seen that happen last year a lot. Now, the issue then is your top tier teams. What's beautiful about them is, I told you, top tier, you go on the road and you get wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to put yourself in the top tier. You can go down the list of every team in the Big Ten and they all do well at where? Home. How do you separate yourself? Situations like Nebraska just had a team that was down. You go on the road. You should have buried them. You did not. But if you want to be top tier, you're going to have to do that because you can't let Minnesota off the hook. You can't let Rutgers off the hook. You can't let, when they're down like the way that they are, if you need to get doubles on those types of teams.
Nebraska had Rutgers down double digits last year on the road. Let him right back into it early in conference play. That's the frustrating part, Strick, is that it hasn't been fixed.
That part. There you go. I just gave you a layout.
Let's hit the text line really quick because we want to dedicate the next segment to the NBA. Fantastic game on tap tonight. Jessica on the text line says, it's the road, guys. Nebraska just can't on the road. It's so frustrating. Again, the road is that next level. It's the separator, and Nebraska hasn't found out a way to do it consistently, which is where having one all but in the bag last night is even more disappointing because that's not a huge resume changing win either way, positive or negative. But it's a nice one to look back on the end of the year and say, yeah, we stacked this one. We took one we maybe shouldn't have. They weren't favored to win, whatever. It's a missed opportunity. Let's go with Texter 1000. I thought Nebraska got rid of the problems from last year. Missed free throws and turnovers were a must. Hey, guess what? Those same problems popped up and got them. Byron the Hog Farmer says Iowa was soft inside. They were. Nebraska wasn't able to take advantage. Brad said they did the same thing late against UCLA offensively. They did, and we talked about that, how it ground to a halt. Then we have, let's see here, Corey, neither have the refs been fixed. No, they have not.
Well, we know that's the issue. I mean, they've been bad, period. But that's the thing. That's the thing. When you go on the road, you've got to go in to bury teams. Don't allow teams to get back in the games to make it close because you're not going to get good whistles, especially on the road. So that's why it's more important.
Yeah. After all that being said, world's not ending. Last night was disappointing, and I think it was Bill and Bennett who said, losing to Iowa in any sport always sucks, but we can still pay them back when they have to come to Lincoln at the regular season and crush their dreams. That's the thing, Strick. You get another shot at Iowa. It's on senior day in your building. If you beat them in Lincoln in March 9th, guess what? It's a wash. You lost to them on the road. You beat them at home. Fine. Basically no harm, no foul. But man, losing to Iowa is disappointing. Letting them run their mouth the way they are after this and letting them beat you by them dictating the style of play when you did it for 25 minutes. It's all very disappointing and a missed opportunity to add just a little bit along the margins that could be the difference between a 7-seed or an 8-seed, an 8-seed or 9-seed, a 9-seed or a 10-seed at the end of the year. So no, the sky's not falling. This team is fine. But man, let's start seeing if there's another tier in this team. Last night was an opportunity to take a step in the right direction. Didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, that part. I'm good.
Okay, let's hit break. Let's talk some NBA. Cavs Thunder. Huge game. Massive game for the NBA. It's going to be a fun one to talk about. We'll do that when we get back to On the Block.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Ever stare at the Hog Wild menu and feel like you just can't make up your mind because it all looks so good? Well, when I want a little bit of everything, I get a little bit of everything on Hog Wild's Smokestack Sandwich. On a butter-toasted bun, we pile on our hickory smoked beef brisket and juicy hot links. The hard part is choosing between fresh curly fries, classic baked beans, or coleslaw on the side. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
Mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Cloud cover on the increase tonight, not nearly as cold as we'll see a low down to around 13. Tomorrow looks blustery. We'll reach up to a high of 34, but northwest winds could gust over 30, and we'll even see a chance of some scattered snow showers tomorrow evening as lows tomorrow night drop to 21. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100 and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history in the making as Love Omaha Volleyball takes on Love Madison in the team's inaugural home match. Be there to watch Olympic teammates Jordan Larson and Lauren Carlini go head-to-head in a battle of the world's best. Visit lovboma.com for tickets starting at $31. Volleyball is the next major league.
New year, new you? Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping can help make sure you keep that resolution this time. Our proven system combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition, along with our expert coaching to make sure you're moving forward toward your goals. The next 10-week challenge starts January 11th. But if you enroll now, you can start today and get a head start on those gains for no extra cost. Plus, head to fxblincoln.com and you can save $100. Don't wait. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Shouldn't the landscape around your house reflect the architecture as well as the interior? Whether it's new construction or breathing life into an outdated landscape, let the teams at Tailored Landscapes, Tailored Lights, and Tailored Life combine as your local source for outdoor living. Schedule a meeting with one of our designers who listen during our consultations and combine your preferences, plus our experience to give you a timeless, sustainable, photo shoot-worthy landscape. Call us at 402-432-2572. Find us on any social media or at www.tailoredlandscapes.com, because when you find one company, you find the benefit of three.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com, because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. I think we've calmed down a little bit. Still frustrating to see a team not take the next step. But, Stricky, two teams that seem like they have taken the next step in the National Basketball Association.
Bruh.
The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The NBA put out a tweet thread, 25 reasons to watch Thunder Cavs. We won't go through all of them, some of them that stand out. First time in NBA history, a team is on a 15-game win streak and its opponent is on a 10-game win streak, and they'll play against each other in an NBA game. So there's that, a little bit of history there. We keep scrolling down here. The third time ever that teams with a combined .850 winning percentage have met this late in the season. The first time in an interleague East versus West matchup. That's a pretty big deal. The Thunder have not lost to an Eastern Conference team this year. The Cavs have not lost to a Western Conference team this year. Okay, that's pretty crazy. Cleveland is the number one offense in the league. Oklahoma City, the number one defense in the league. Stricky, these are two incredible teams going at it. 30 wins at least, and no more than 5 losses for either side. They are hot. There is enough star power. This is a fantastic matchup that we're getting here in early January.
Yeah, to add on to that, the Cleveland Cavaliers have also gone 18-1 at home. We talk about that home advantage that's important for them. They are second in the league in scoring by averaging 122.5 points per game on 50% shooting as a team. That's unheard of in this time, especially with the analytics being what they are with the 3-point game now, with the additions of what so many teams are doing there. The fact that they're still shooting over 50% as a team is absolutely phenomenal. Then you look at the Thunder, who is also 13-3 on the road. We talk about what takes you from a mid-tier to a top tier. It's what them Cavs are doing on the road. Not Cavs,
Thunder.
but them Thunder are doing on the road. And the way that they do that, in which they're also making teams average over 11 turnovers per game. So they're getting after people. Now, when you talk about the importance of this game, also, both of them are at a 10-0 win streak right now. And all things are pretty equal across the board. What the opponents have done in their last 10 games and where they're scoring in their last 10 games. There's an equation there. What's going to be the difference? Is it going to be the home advantage, or is it going to be the defense and the road advantage in the mentality of what OKC is bringing to the table right now? I've got to let you know that I'm impressed with both of them because of what they've done in their conferences. There's a group out, and you know a lot of the listeners may not know about this group, but this group is called 666 Mafia. 3-6 Mafia out of Memphis. They had a song that was out, and it was called "Who Run It."
Who run it?
Who run it? Who run it? Right now, it is who is the best of the East, the beast of the East, and
the best of the West.
The best of the West. Going up, who's going to run it when it comes down to it at the end of the day? It's good to see this matchup early. It's good to have this kind of combination going at each other this early. They dominate both teams by upwards of 6 games or more, about roughly 6 games each over the next person, one of them being the champions of the East and Boston Celtics, the reigning champions. And then, whoa, out of nowhere, Ime Udoka has the Houston Rockets in second place in the West. Whoa. A young squad, and we talked about it. All they needed was leadership. Wasn't that they didn't have the talent? Wasn't that leadership? They just needed someone to captain the ship. It was basically the mates of the ship were running the ship. They needed a captain
to steer the ship.
They needed their Captain Hook, whoever it is, whatever captain that you remembered back in the day. You're the captain of the ship. But they needed that. But shout out to this game. I'm excited about what the outcome of this game is going to look like because both of these teams are phenomenal. I'm impressed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I've always said that they were good. It's like they found their way now. And obviously the Thunder, and listen, the Thunder are doing this without one of their best players.
And they just got Hartenstein back. He's still working in.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to it.
This is an incredible game just on the surface, right? Number 1 offense versus number 1 defense. Cleveland, according to some stats, has the 3rd most efficient offense in the NBA since the ABA-NBA merger in 76. That's how good they've been. They don't turn the ball over. They have, I think like 7 or 8 guys shooting 40% from 3 or more. What's Oklahoma City doing? Forcing more live ball turnovers than anyone, scoring more points in transition in the league than anyone. They are aggressive.
To play with that
they are tenacious. They switch a lot, but they fight through screens. They don't have to switch if they don't want to. It's going to be an incredible, incredible matchup tonight. And Strick, I am so glad the NBA actually put out a tweet thread on this. The 25 reasons to watch it. It's getting hype. It's getting coverage. That, to me, is even bigger than the game.
Yeah.
Because this game in the NBA that we're worried about doesn't get coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the Cavs.
Yeah.
There's no LeBron.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the Thunder.
Yeah.
They're so young and up and coming. Donovan Mitchell is him. Darius Garland's really good. Evan Mobley's taking a leap. Jared Allen is fun. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is MVP 1 or MVP 2 right now. Jalen Williams is going to be a most improved player candidate. That long defense, Caruso. Hartenstein is a stud in his role. These are 2 fantastic teams, very well coached, and this is the type of matchup the NBA would have missed the boat on in recent years.
I love what you just said. And I was going to ask you, what does it remind you of? It reminds me, you didn't get to really spend time in it, but it reminds me of the mid-90s. It reminds me of New York Knicks. Reminds me of Bulls. Reminds me of Pacers. It reminds me of these type of rivalries that happen within conferences because the Lakers was the scoring.
Right.
It was the Lake Show. It was the run and gun and fun. All of that against like the Knicks or the Celtics, the hard nose, the Pistons,
blue collar, white collar.
Yeah. It reminds me of that they're trying to interject that again, and it's needed. Two small market teams, they need to figure out a way to create this type of energy again. And it looks like this is the starting point, and hope that they'll continue.
Here's the question then for you, Stricky. Both these teams on top of their respective conferences. Is this the finals matchup? If it's not the finals matchup, who do you think is more likely to come out of their conference? Who's more likely to get tripped up in the playoffs?
I personally think that OKC has learned a lot. I think they've learned a lot in getting upended the way that they have. I think they've grown out of that. There's just no way you can run off 15 game win streaks with a mentality of get there, lose. You know what I mean? I think they got caught by some matchup situations. Luka gets on one. At times, Kyrie gets on one. Then they had shooting from guys that really hadn't been doing that with the Mavs, and it got them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It looked like Shea had the big eyes. Like he was. Look, Shea. It's not that he was scared, but it looked like the moment hit him.
Yes.
In that series, right?
And Ant was really good too.
Huh?
Ant was really good in that series as well.
Yeah, Ant was looking at him like, whoever you put on me is getting this work. You know what I mean? I just think they play very good defense. And that was the situation. It looked like I said, Luka and that crew was just on one, and they were just not going to lose. It was unfortunate that that's how it went down. Celtics are always dangerous because they're going to have some situations. Jalen may be out, but then they just continuously. I think they're going to miss the depth of some of the guys that they've had on their team, and some of those guys that are getting older now.
Yeah,
it's tough to continue that mojo. You're going to need Pritchard and those guys to continue to do what they do and step up. Hauser and those guys, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I still think they're capable. The Knicks are dangerous, but we know what Cat happens when he gets into the playoff. Is Jalen, can he carry it? They don't have some of the defensive guys that they had in DiVincenzo and some of those guys that they had before, but they still got a great group of guys.
Anunoby and Bridges are good.
Right. But we just don't know what's going to happen there. I don't see anybody outside of those teams unless I really don't think the Magic are there. I think the Bucks have lost their way. So I only see those three teams, somebody out of those three coming through it, right? Sad drop off for the Philadelphia, but that's another thing.
Major injury.
To be honest, I don't think it's Houston's time.
With you.
So I either see in this side of it, Oklahoma City. I think the Grizzlies and Denver's always dangerous. So I could see four of those teams. I don't think the Lakers have a chance. I don't think the Clippers have a chance. Definitely not Minnesota. They've missed it. But I think it's going to be either Oklahoma, Memphis has got a chance with what they do. Denver is always dangerous, just depending on how they get on one, because when you have Jokic, anything is possible. And I think the Mavs are capable of getting on one. I think they've built a good bench, a good group of guys that they filled voids on some of the guys that can miss threes. You saw what happened to what they did to the Lakers. I think they capable. Any one of those guys are capable of getting on one, as well as they're pretty long on the defensive side of things, so they can play a lot of different angles. So that's what I envision. Your thought?
Yeah, I think that there are more teams that I would put in the upper level of regular season teams in the West, but the East right now, Boston is the defending champs. They're not defending at the same clip. Their front court isn't as good necessarily. But if you want to get into a shootout with Cleveland, Boston can keep up just because of their style of play.
Yeah.
Knicks, I'm still in wait and see mode on. They'll be good. they got to follow it up a little bit more for me. And I'm curious about Orlando if Franz and Paulo get back, because Cavs Magic was a war in the first round last year. So in that specific matchup, I'd be a little curious about Orlando, but I'm not sold on him. Cleveland's sitting pretty, even if they fall back to the pack a little bit, it's them and Boston, right? The two best teams in the East pretty clearly. Out West, OKC has the depth to make it through the regular season despite the injuries, right? They've already done it to this point. Then it's basically, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lamar Jackson answering the same questions, right? Lamar's been better to this point in his career than Shai has. It's not a perfect comparison, but it's going to be about the playoffs, right? Yeah. Can Shai slow the game down in the playoffs like he has in the regular season? Can Memphis take a step that they've never taken before as a franchise? Nuggets, I don't trust right now. They got the best player in the world in Jokic, but the rest of that rotation, that's not even shaky. It's beyond shaky at this point. Jokic,
it's not shaky.
It's like San Andreas fault shaky right now. And not to make light of anything going on in California, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers with them.
All that big stuff. That is so scary, and we hope that gets taken care of. But I just have a lot more questions about the next tier of teams in the West compared to the ones in the East. So I give Oklahoma City a better chance of making it to the conference finals. I think they're a little bit less matchup dependent, but I think Cleveland's maybe a more likely finals winner for my money. So that's where I fall with it for now. I'm sure we will continue to reevaluate. We'll report back on this game tomorrow. Let's have a crossover brought to you by Love Volleyball Omaha. Jay Foreman in the house. We'll wrap up on the block in a minute.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ever wonder what it's like to work for a company that actually cares? At Lincoln Industries, they're revolutionizing local manufacturing while taking care of their most valuable asset, their people. When you join their team, you'll enjoy comprehensive health coverage, wellness initiatives that work around your life, and benefits that show they're serious about your future. Plus, you'll be a part of a proud manufacturing tradition right here in the community. Don't just take their word for it. Visit LincolnIndustries.com to see all their current opportunities and find out why their people love calling Lincoln Industries home.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild. But we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall, Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through January 14th is $2 off beef jerky, $2 off ready-to-eat meals, and 20% off all candy. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history in the making as Love Omaha Volleyball takes on Love Madison in the team's inaugural home match. Be there to watch Olympic teammates Jordan Larson and Lauren Carlini go head-to-head in a battle of the world's best. Visit lovboma.com for tickets starting at $31. Volleyball is the next major league.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Cloud cover on the increase tonight, not nearly as cold as we'll see a low down to around 13. Tomorrow looks blustery. We'll reach up to a high of 34, but northwest winds could gust over 30, and we'll even see a chance of some scattered snow showers tomorrow evening as lows tomorrow night drop to 21. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
New year, new you? Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping can help make sure you keep that resolution this time. Our proven system combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition, along with our expert coaching to make sure you're moving forward toward your goals. The next 10-week challenge starts January 11th, but if you enroll now, you can start today and get a head start on those gains for no extra cost. Plus, head to fxblincoln.com and you can save $100. Don't wait. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back one final time here during On the Block. This is the crossover brought to you by Love Volleyball Omaha. They begin their inaugural season January 24th at Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Ralston. Get your tickets online at lovb.com. You'll see former Huskers Jordan Larson, Justine Wong-Arantes, Maddie Kubik, Lawrence Difference, and Lexi Rodriguez all in action. Again, lovb.com. Moss Norman, Eric Strickland with you, joined now by Jay Foreman. Jay, welcome in.
What's going on, fellas?
Had a good segment talking some NBA and a big matchup tonight. You get the Thunder and the Cavs.
Yeah. Two teams that kind of embody each other.
Yeah, number one offense in Cleveland, number one defense in OKC.
Yeah. But, you know, they're kind of built the same. I mean, you got, Shea Alexander, and then you got Spider, who's a little bit older version of Shea. And then you got, like, Chet, and then you got Mobley, and you got Allen. So you got kind of, like, some bigs that are, able to kind of get out and get busy a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially with OKC, being number one seed last year and kind of duking down their leg. It's like they kind of did all their work. Now that there is a process, I'm assuming, and Strick knows this more than me, than, becoming a viable contender. We saw the Celtics go through it kind of maybe too much too quick, and then they had to go back to the lab for a couple of years, and now they look like if you watched them last night, they look pretty dang good, even on an off night. And then maybe that's the process that OKC has to go through. And then also it'll let you know really where Cleveland is at, team-wise. Will they really be a viable contender? Because I think Philly's probably shot, right? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. At this point,
Philly's done, and that's all based on Embiid just not being in shape. I mean, that's just Embiid's. He's kind of like Zion
And
like,
George being hurt, and
right?
Kane
But
getting hurt.
those guys are generally who they are. They're not all the way in and not all the way out. And then so really, they're probably looking at the Celtics, how they could possibly make an addition, or what they really need to do to take that next step to try to go against the Celtics. They look like, unless something big happens, like injury wise, they're probably going to be back in there again. And they got the what they call him, the unicorn back. Porzingis.
Yeah. Whoa.
Who do you think has a better chance to make it out of their conference in the playoffs to the NBA Finals, OKC or Cleveland?
Oh, good. OKC. Well, and that's because Dallas is a little banged. Obviously, right now they're banged up. Lakers are a joke. Golden State is just not there. So I think talent. I mean, you got the likes of like Memphis. You're not really worried about the Clippers. I mean, it's like who's really there. I mean, besides Dallas, right? And Dallas has the two ultimate equalizers, and Jason Kidd. And they probably have more depth probably than what people give them credit for.
Yep.
So but if they don't get healthy and start to get going and OKC continues to progress, then I would say OKC. Cleveland, it's going to take a great effort to beat Boston, even though they're talented enough. Now, one thing I want to say is that I was reading here about Atkinson, the way that he's changed their offense. I liked what they're doing. We're utilizing the cross court up the court cross court
ahead and open,
head and up, which has allowed them to actually be more efficient on offense and not overextend Spider Mitchell, because that's what he usually does. He kind of just wears himself out. Playoffs, he's usually game 4 or 5 in a big series. He's out a game or two. So,
and that's where let's pause 10 seconds for station ID, and then we'll continue this conversation here during On the Block.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
That's where I think Nebraska can take a lesson from this too. Asking Bryce Williams to do so much on the offensive end, as good as he is, probably not going to be sustainable by the end of the year. Nebraska needs either to get Bryce Williams easier looks, or they need more talent on the offensive end, so that, when Bryce Williams needs to step up and take over, he can. We know Spider Mitchell can still go for 40 any night he wants. He's still got that skill. Bryce Williams is really good, but I think Nebraska needs to do more stuff, maybe like Kenny Atkinson has done for Spider Mitchell, to help Bryce Williams out. I think that'd go a long way for this team.
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, Raleigh Wooster is the only guy that really showed up offensively, just looking at this, the black and white right here. I think the biggest thing you need to do is get the guys that are supposed to be the second and third command in a game like Iowa, where, they're a wounded animal. You got to put the dagger in the heart right away.
That part.
You had a 15-point lead at the first kind of TV timeout, but that's still a lot of basketball, right?
Yeah.
But how you lost is the bigger problem. The defense and the rotations and not getting back on transition probably beat you, or got yourself beat. But then also, we just talked about Cleveland, who Atkinson is a byproduct of Steve Kerr. He said he's learned a lot from, I think, his first stop to assistant coach
Brooklyn.
to now to Cleveland. I'm a big fan of having different pods or units because it replicates football, obviously. So it's easy for me just to, analyze it that way. Different pods with this team. If you look at like Cale Jacobson, Ulis, Hoiberg, let's throw Morgan in there. That's a drastically different, and Isaiah Sejan, right? That's a drastically different 5. You don't have to you're not going mass subs, but you can kind of get to those 5 by periodic subs, right? It's drastically different than the big physical lineup, kind of like a 18-wheeler version of your basketball team with one real consistent cog in Bryce Williams, right? And then you bring these guys in. I can up the tempo. I can kind of, scatter a little bit more on defense. I can do some things. We can kind of run a little bit more 4 out and let big man, big country go to work in the middle, create some space for him.
They haven't figured out a way to use him.
Right, but that's why I'd say that could be like a second part, and then you kind of mix the first and the second, and then that's your third. that can create more offense because it actually puts more onus on the defense or on the other opposing team to figure it out.
There was a play last night that honestly spooked me. There was a game early in the year where Gavin Griffiths had 2 fast break opportunities and never once looked at the rim. Last night, Braxton Mia catches the ball on the left block for the offense. All he has to do is turn over his left shoulder to his dominant hand, shoot right-handed hook shot with Peyton Sanford on it. Sanford's 6'7", Mia's 7'1". Mia never looked at the rim. Kicked it out to Bryce Williams, who took a 28-footer or something like that.
Why is that?
That's a guy that's not confident.
Yeah,
a
not
guy,
confident
a guy
because
that
you don't
doesn't know his role.
Right.
Because that's a perfect shot for him. That's an easy shot for him to take in the flow of the offense. They work it around. They get
tell
the
him
mismatch.
to kick it out.
Go. If that's a confident player, it's a simple drop step, hook shot, 2 points, run back the other way. That's a guy who's swimming in it, that doesn't know his role, that hasn't been empowered to take those shots. So he kicks it out, and Nebraska has to take a long one instead. That spooked me last night.
Even more than that. Even more than what you just said. To add on, let me just say that. To add on to it, it's because there's nothing set so that in his mind, he knows when I get this, be aggressive. Same thing as a linebacker, right?
Yeah, this coverage I could be.
Yeah,
this coverage I can be extra aggressive because
you
got safety help.
This formation,
it's the classic cover 1 versus 0,
right?
2-man. You know, what I mean, yeah.
You don't have to really think. You kind of just know what you got.
Yeah,
he doesn't, because all of that free flow stuff that they run is all tailored for him, and he's not confident with his dribble. So you put him in a position, yes, where there's a disadvantage. He's not used to it. He's used to getting it, turning with his back to the basket and dribbling it and handing it to somebody or passing it to somebody and then going and screening. He's only used to training on a roll with a catch, with a dunk, with a go up, as opposed to with his back to the basket. I've got a mismatch on me. I've got a mouse in the house. Let me put this work in on him. He's not used to that. And that's where you get what you just saw.
Well, I mean, do you think it's, like you guys mentioned confidence, and that's a tricky word because it's thrown around.
Yeah.
Like just thrown up in the air or whatever you want to call it. There's an adage that confidence comes from the work that you do when people aren't watching.
Good,
right?
good.
Right.
That's, I like that.
And that gives you the belief. What's this dude doing?
Oh, we got Kevin.
Is there a game?
That's it. Yeah, women play tonight.
Oh.
Is that Uncle Kevy?
No.
That's the
Deadpool guy.
Deadpool.
Oh, he switched up from Deadpool to the overall.
Yeah, he didn't got Deadpool on the
Oh, okay.
But then it's like, that confidence and that work gives you belief versus it seems like he might have been playing with hope. And when you play with hope in any sport, you actually play too cautious and passive, because depending on how many you're down, and realistically, this play wasn't like a
set for him.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you're down by 3 and there's 6 seconds left. You got to kick it out to tie the game. There's not too many coaches, and I can't speak for Fred or any coach, that if you're underneath the hoop and you cash in with 2 points, let alone when you think about it, they took 71 shots last night, actually, which is weird. They got beat and they took 10 more shots than Iowa.
Well, Iowa had half the number of offensive rebounds, but basically the same number of second chance points.
Right.
Iowa was so efficient with their second chances. Nebraska missed it. 15 to 27 on layups.
But that's how Iowa.
That's crazy.
15 to 27.
But if you look at it here, and if you're reading this correctly, that's how they're actually able to score 85 points, even though they got mollywopped against Wisconsin. But when you look at it, if you look at it, he took 71 field goals or whatever to Iowa 61. If I'm sitting here just talking, if you shot 3 times, is that really that big a deal? You had 2 guys that had over 20 shots. So what if both of those guys only had 18?
Mm-hmm.
And you shot 2, and let's just say he shot 2, and then say Burke got 2 or 3 more shots, or 4 more shots. You get what I'm saying? Really, in the big scheme of things, why are you kicking it out when you're riding a hoop? Whether you're going against somebody,
you're 2 for 2.
Whether you're going against somebody 6'7",
or
5'7", or
7'7",
7'7", you're too close to proximity. And also, I think if you look at it, you're punching a hole in their defense. It's giving. I think some people don't really realize the biggest thing that you do as a player or during the game, and you know this more. I'm just talking from a defender. The more you give a player or something to think about, it's not just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean it's forgotten. Example, I'll just talk about football. If we're running cover 2, right, and I'm the linebacker that has to run the deep middle, and somehow I bite up on a play fake, and number 2 is going down to shoot. Now, you might either overthrow him, Strick, or go somewhere else. That's still on my mind that I got smoked on against cover 2, right?
Yeah, because you saw that in the Ohio State game.
Right.
That's what happened. They got caught in the cover 2.
Right.
They bit. And then
but
all
I'm
of a
just
sudden,
saying,
I feel
it's not
you.
like if it
It's
happens
in your
in the
mind.
first quarter.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, he didn't hit it that time, I'm not going to cover him.
No. You're thinking about it.
Right. So just if you start to if he goes 3 for 3, you're going to start to subconsciously start to adjust your defense to okay, well, maybe they're going to try to bully us a little bit, to kind of slow the game down. Well, then that's going to give you actually more open threes.
Yeah.
5 minutes down the road, to maybe possibly stop a run or something like that. I think Iowa, for whatever reason, is a hard place for Nebraska to play in historically. Well, not historically, but it seems recently that they've always played Nebraska after a big win. It's like the schedule always sets up.
It seems to
It's
figure out.
Last year, Nebraska went there fourth day after beating number 1 Purdue.
Right.
4 days after beating UCLA. Where's Nebraska? Iowa City.
Right. And so it seems like, and plus, that was an extremely
Great
physical
point.
game. UCLA was a physical game. But
Iowa came with something to prove after getting beat by 30.
And I think they got smoked last year, too, prior to playing Nebraska. So you're getting the best version of them.
Great point, Jay.
And you still had him dead right.
And still had him.
They wanted to roll over.
That's why
didn't make it.
It's the game.
They wanted to roll over.
Right there. They're right there.
It's the game. There you go.
They wanted to roll over. I like it. Well said.
Hey, but that's when you got a Game of Thrones them, man.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said. You got to put them in the dirt.
Yeah, you got to slide that sword slowly but through their neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, I like that Game of Thrones. That's my show.
Yeah, you
I
got
might go home and watch that.
We slipped through on the block today. We're sliding into old school. Don't go anywhere. Old school coming your way here in just a sec on the ticket.
League One Volleyball is bringing the action to Omaha with Omaha's first serve on January 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Witness history